Hello and welcome back to Bump Love. So every good parent knows that being present and in the moment and spending quality time with your child is what's needed for your children to thrive. But the truth is, we all know that that's easier said than done, especially in this demanding world that we live in. So today on our dad segment, I'm here chilling with the big boys. We are going to speak about present and mindful parenting today. And I'd like to introduce my co-host. I have Dr. Mich. Dr. Mich is Michael Egwang. Mich Egwang is a qualified veterinary doctor. He is a marketeer, a motivational speaker, media coach, and events moderator, and a father of two.
Right, spot on. Spot
Welcome
on.
to the show.
Yes, she did. I'm going to send it to her.
And then we have Mr. Ronnie Habasa. He is a team building coach, a media radio personality, and a father of 3 girls.
That's right.
Welcome
and
back
he's done.
to the show. Ronnie. And he's done.
Yeah.
And then we also have Mr. Allan Kakinda. He's a co-founder of Eagle Light Associates Limited, a productivity coaching company. He's also a global senior manager for innovation, monitoring and evaluation at Compassion International. He's a father of 3 beautiful children. Yes. Welcome to the show, guys. It's really nice to be in your awesome fatherly presence.
Thank you.
And coming from that, I would like to ask you, in your own personal opinions, what does mindful, present parenting mean to you?
I think it's always good to start with the oldest guy. So what do you think, Ron?
Just off the cuff, you can't define a word using the same word, but being present is really about being present, physically, emotionally, being able to be accessible when your kids need you.
I think I agree with Ronnie, and since his limitation was Lungereza, let me give him another
now
word.
break it down.
Yes, it's called being engaged.
Engaged.
And I think that's the thing which a lot of people miss out on.
Yeah.
You can be present, but you're not engaged.
Exactly.
Okay.
So there's that element of
you're physically there, but
Yes.
you're emotionally absent.
That's
Your
right.
phone,
You're not really there.
you're working.
I think in addition to that, it's also understanding that every child is different.
yeah.
And
Yes.
so customizing your parenting to each of the children, such
Yes,
that
yes,
they
yes.
do not feel like I'm just a part of the pack,
That's
but I am, my dad, my mother understands me as an individual,
Yeah.
and they take care of my needs.
Yes,
as
as
a
an
child.
individual,
As an
yes,
individual,
as an individual
yes.
child in the home. I like that. And I think we can all be, most of us actually a testimony to the fact that our dads in the past were not as present, as the dads are today. So maybe we should just I might be assuming, were your dads, each of you, present in your home in the ways that you're describing? Engaging, understanding individual needs, being present physically, emotionally. Were your dads that for you while you were growing up?
I think it's a mix. For my dad, it was a mix.
Yeah.
So he was present, but I think there are specific aspects. Physically present, providing for us.
Yeah.
Emotionally,
That's
I've never hugged my dad. I've never even
love him.
I've never even had it from him as
Yeah,
well. But I know he loves me, so I don't take it personally.
Just be like, yo, Mzee. Yeah.
No, but Alan, if you understand, I think if we look at it from a cultural standpoint,
Exactly.
life has gazetted spaces for fathers. I'm the breadwinner,
Yeah.
okay? Then in terms of all the emotion, you pick
Go
that
to
up,
your mother.
go to your mom, exactly. Yeah? For discipline, I will discipline you to a certain degree, then the rest. Because I'll tell you, from my father's standpoint, one of the things which he contributed a lot to is to my confidence and my need to continue to keep self-improving.
Yeah.
So you see, my dad is a research scientist. So he's always, attending conferences and and checking all sorts of stuff. So he had this thing that he used to do. He used to come back after work and sit down and we're watching TV. And every time we watch TV, all of us now, we're on tenterhooks, we're on boom.
Because you're going to be asked the question.
Exactly.
What have you learned?
Not what have you learned
From that cartoon?
Exactly, yes.
When Tom caught Jerry.
When Tom caught Jerry, which part of it did you catch using the Pythagoras theorem?
And what life lesson do you draw from this?
Dude, I'm watching a cartoon.
Like that,
Let me enjoy my cartoon. Jama wants me to start picking lessons.
There should always be a lesson from something.
So you're in boom kinky intention now.
But guess what? Fast forward 20, 30 years in the future, I realized that, you see, life is not just about living. There must be purpose in every single moment.
Learning?
What are you learning, and what can you teach?
Are you present in the moment? I agree with you. I think I wouldn't say parents then didn't know what to do and parents now know what to do. I think maybe parents now are just a little more intentional, and so our parents growing up did a lot of good. There may have been some bad or whatever, but some of it was just unintentional. It was just by chance, not by default, not by training. So if I remember right, we lost our mom when we were a little younger, so I think that caused my dad to then be even more present, to try and play the role of mom and dad. So I can't say he was absent. He was very present. All visitation days, things like that. I mean, there are kids even end of term, parents forgot to pick them up, I was never one of those. So I think my dad was present, and I don't know if it was intentional or just default settings, which is a bit different from now when we have these shows and you're learning what it means. Are you,
Well, I think I like that Mich brought out that we need to pay attention to the cultural context.
Exactly.
Where before the roles were split, they were purely defined on what was expected of a dad and what was expected of a mom. But right now we live in an era where it's like such a jungle out there, so everybody can do. The only thing that the man can do is give birth to the child, right, and breastfeed the child.
Where we are going.
Biologically, speaking as a vet, we have seen stories.
It can happen,
but let's proceed. That's not this show.
So yes, so now with that background, how do you think the way your parents interacted with you, and mostly maybe your dads interacted with you, has impacted on the way that you now interact with your children?
You know, Pumla, the thing is this: if you're smart and you touch fire and it burns you, you learn from that. So I think one of the things which happened in the past is that every single key learning and every single gap that I saw growing up in both of my parents has actually helped me now to define my own strategy when it comes to raising.
I'm not going to allow this to happen
That's
again.
right.
Yeah.
And that's very important, very important lessons. Because one of the most important things, first of all, is my parents ensured that faith was a paramount, critical, pivotal part of us growing up. And that is something which we don't play games with in the house. And the kids know it. Dad has strict rules about faith, about hygiene, about education, and about learning.
The things you don't mess with.
The things you don't mess with. And that's it. You can fool around all sorts of other stuff, but non-negotiables. So I think each and every single gap now helped us to be able to evaluate. Like something which I don't know about you guys. We were taught very late about money and the importance of investment and the rest.
Value,
and the value of money.
Now
you see, Allan,
life taught us.
Discovered after.
Life taught us, and life is still teaching us.
First, the only lessons we had were switch off that light, close that stuff, and you're like, until you start to pay your own bills, you're like,
there's no money.
This is what Mosey was talking about.
But that's the thing. Because Ronnie says switch off the light. In our house, what we do is that by the time the kids, because Michelle is 10, Marcel is 8, by the time they reached 6 and I think 8, I started giving them each 1,000 shillings a week. And then I got them a book which was their checkbook.
Come on now.
Yes.
Accountability.
Accountability. And each of them has what they call, they know how to debit and to credit their accounts. And it also helps them to do their math and the rest. But above all, it helps to teach lessons. If you know you're supposed to switch off lights and the light doesn't go off, I said, remove 100 shillings from your account and bring it back to me.
I'm going to pay Yaka.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
No, they know.
Yeah.
Yes, because they have to know that for every single service, there's a value that is attached to it.
Yeah.
So they are learning these things here. And then also now they learn about paying tithe, they learn about giving, they learn about also investing. So Dad, where can I take this money to make more money?
Yeah.
So those are the things which unfortunately we weren't actually taught.
Yeah.
So there are gaps that I saw, which I saw were important.
Yeah, and if I should pick it up from you, the key word there is being intentional. Because like you asked, what did we learn from our parents that we're doing now?
Yeah.
And you're saying, you know, you look at the gaps that they had and but not everyone is intentional because, I mean, you've seen friends who maybe they say, my dad was a drunkard. And you'd think they would know better when they grew up because they saw the turmoil and how they suffered. Or you know, my dad had
right
two,
where
two
their
wives,
dads left off is
and
where
he
they
suffered
pick
at
up.
the hands of stepmoms. But then the guy goes and doubles his dad's effort and then has 4 or drinks for all his ancestors. So it's not just that, it's not default. It has to be intentional. Someone needs to get to a point where they're like, you know what, there was this gap. I'm not going to allow this flow to carry on to the next generation.
Correct.
I'm going to pick this good one my dad taught us. So we had family brunch every Sunday, and this is a culture we're going to inculcate, you know, or something like that. And so intentionality.
Yeah, I think for me it's been learning a lot from the negatives.
Yeah.
I was
And trying to correct those. Now I know I'm probably not going to be perfect, but my hope is that I think for me one of the big things my dad always ensured is telling us that you guys have to be better than me.
Wow.
So he knew he had his own flaws.
Yes.
He's not perfect, but he kept telling us you have to be better than me. You have to raise your children better than me. You have to give them better education. You have to. So I think for me, beyond all what I saw that was right and wrong, it was the speaking into our lives and ensuring that we are not picking up the wrong things he's been doing or whatever has been going on.
Improving the product.
But but we are improving and growing.
Yes, and you're doing it intentionally because you know there's people who keep on saying, who keep defaulting their bad behavior and always attributing it to no, but that's how I was raised. That's how I grew up. That's all I know. And yet I feel you should be able to, you're an adult. Now you can make a choice. You know what is right and you know what is wrong. And then then that's when you realize that, oh, those were the gaps in my upbringing. Let me do better. Let me be intentional about doing better. So I like the fact that the first focus is what could I do? What could I improve? How could I be better? How could I be a more mindful parent? So at the beginning of this show, I introduced you in your different capacities, so many capacities. And then after that I said, father of 2, father of 3, father of 3. We live in a fast-paced world. That's why these days, before we introduce my dad, my father is a banker. Finished. You stop.
That's it.
Now you say speaker, marketer, farmer, coach of the economist, senior manager, Uber driver. Somebody's juggling so many different. So how have these responsibilities, other responsibilities, do you feel taken away from your responsibilities? Or actually, let me not bias you.
Have they?
Because they might not have, right? But I'm sure it's either done a good or a bad. So how have they impacted on your responsibilities as a father?
You know, I think to tell you the truth, it's life. Life has evolved. Life has changed. Back in what they call the old days, true to what you said, there's probably only one spectrum of a job that you could have. Now, you're taught that you can do everything you can to put food on the table, but at the same time, you shouldn't forget the core reason why you're doing it. I'm doing it because of my family. I'm doing it because of my kids, because of my extended family. I'm doing it for them. So something that has come out very clear is that our responsibility is to identify how much time we don't have and try to find ways of integrating the kids. Because I'll tell you something interesting that I do. We try a lot to do what they call work at Wednesdays with the kids, especially during the holidays. So I do is I pack the guys into the office, and they come in the morning. They dress up. They wear jackets, suits. They suit up and go. Yes, and they come in, and then I give them roles, which they pay them for. I said, now today's job, going to teach you about interpersonal skills. I want you to walk around the office, get everybody's name, and find out what they do. Then at the end of the day, we sit down and do an evaluation.
Come back and...
So who is this? Who's Pumla? Who is Allan? What do they do? Exactly. So what that does is that it also helps them to be able to express themselves and learn. So they come back and they know, oh, that's great. When I have, because Ronnie, you do a lot of public speaking.
Yeah.
But I'll give you an interesting story. At the time, I went with my kids for a gig. So I warned them that you know what you
How
guys
old are
do?
your kids again now?
10 and 8.
10 and 8. That's a good age.
Yeah. So I called them up and I prepared them the night before. I said, we're going to do a gig, but what's going to happen is that you're going to be introduced by Marcel. Marcel's going to be introduced, is going to introduce you. Then Michelle, you're going to introduce me. Okay. They said, yeah, we got
Let's
this.
do this.
Let's do this. Now, you know what happens? We get there, and my kids see the entire audience.
They're like,
Marcel chickens out.
they're like, hell no.
He said, no, forget this.
Ain't nobody got time for
Not
this.
doing this.
We're not going there.
Yeah.
Then Michelle steps up and then starts and said, hi, I'd like to introduce my family. This is my brother. This is my dad. Ha! My son looks at my daughter and says, I can't lose marks, man.
Yes.
Gotta do
Let
this.
my shine.
Throw me the mic. Huh? Grabs the mic like this and then also introduces.
Yeah.
Then I go out and start speaking. And they go and sit down. So as I'm speaking, my last parting statement was I was going to invite guys to eat. So I'm inviting all you guys out for dinner. And then I hear a voice from the back saying, it's not dinner, it's lunch. That's my son now, huh? So now you've woken up. You had a mic, you couldn't say anything. Huh?
There you go.
But what it is that it's actually you experientially bringing them into the process.
Yeah.
So yes, there are going to be, limitations on the amount of time you can spend.
Yeah.
And a lot of people would say, oh, I don't have time, I'm busy. So be working to make money for you.
Yeah.
But what you could do is find within the structure of the processes,
Yeah.
the life that you live, the measuring and evaluation, the coaching that you do, all the stuff. Find a way of integrating.
Yeah. So I agree with you. I mean, life has moved and evolved to it's faster. It's more engaging. You're away for weekends.
Correct,
you come back late. And I'll be honest with you. My wife and I once in a while will evaluate and. The seasons where we get a bit too busy, you disengage from parenting, so to speak, yeah? And just 2 weeks of that, you can already start to see flaws. You can see discipline levels have dropped. You can see people are showing up at the table late. People are, having assignments that have not been handed in. You're like, what's going on? And the truth is, we have dropped the ball. Parenting is just continuous. And so... even as it gets busy, one of the solutions is what Mich has said, get them involved, carry them to work. My wife, she goes decorating, throw them there, they'll set up. Sometimes they are more a mess than they are, but that's all right.
It's all part of
do the kids know what you do? My 3-year-old, but daddy, mommy is a decorator, but what are you? What do you do? Like, so you just go, and so, in the end, she now says, daddy talks. Daddy just talks. And but, to bring them into your life, bring them on a Zoom call. As I'm giving parting shots, just come and say bye to the guys. So they're like, daddy's in a Zoom meeting, or they understand. So you need to just innovate and see how, because you're not going to slow down. You're not going to say, now let's cut out some gigs and what. There'll be no food on that table. So, you need to see how to balance that board.
Okay. I think for me, the biggest benefit has been that I work from home. I've been working from home for the last 4 years. And so...
Corona's only been here for 2.
Yes. So I was
Where did you get it?
No, I work remotely.
The man knew.
Do you
Yes.
need an assistant?
Yeah. So, and for the past 2 years, we've been homeschooling. I've been homeschooling the kids because my wife goes out to work. And so I think for me, that gives me a very good relationship. And so even my working hours, the rest of my team is elsewhere. So I've scheduled my working hours around our homeschooling structure and also parenting. But nonetheless, there are seasons, of course, when I'm busier. And I think for me, I've been able to build a strong relationship with my kids such that they're able to tell me that, Dad, we haven't seen you today. That's a day when I'm in meetings. Or they will come and tell me, Daddy, you haven't carried us today. And that's an opportunity again to engage, to catch up, and to be able to, to parent them and enjoy their company. Yeah.